Good evening at 6 o'clock. Oh, I always have to look this up. Thursday, the 19th of March, as if I don't keep track. And we're talking tonight about the price of ebooks, mainly because it's something that I've been umming and ahhing about over the years. And there was a chap who I noticed he asked for feedback on his website. I never get asked for this, but he asked for feedback on his website, and it was fairly horrible. This was a few years ago, but it was like bright, flashing hamburger yellows and greens and browns, and he was charging, I think, something like $10.99 for his ebooks, and that when they were fairly new. And he said, "Well, I'm not charging any less than a cup of coffee." And this is dollars, when dollars were pretty much two to the pound. So it's about $5.99. And I said, "Well, if nobody knows who you are, then you might want to start low and work your way up." And so this is a topic I think is interesting for both sides of the as a reader and a writer. And I'm delighted to be joined by AA Abbott, aka Helen. Everybody knows her as Helen. Otherwise, we spend our evenings going AA. But you're first in the phone book, should they still exist, which back in the day came on the television, on the radio this morning, about the phone books, how people used to get a new phone book and they look themselves up. And a lot in the yellow pages, which were the companies, would have like AAA tyres just to be at the beginning of the tyre section. So welcome, Helen. Lovely to have you here. So we're going to be talking about the price of ebooks. So we'll start as readers, how much we pay for ebooks. And I had this discussion ahead of time with my husband, and I've made some notes of what he said. And I'm sure most people will do this. If there's an author that they haven't read of previously, he said that he'll read the blurb, and he reads science fiction. So he'll read the blurb. If he's interested, he'll download the sample. And if he likes it, he'll then buy the book. However, it depends on the price. So if it's £2.99, so £2.99, £3.99, and it's a full-length book, then yes, he'll buy it. And he's one of these, he will read to the end, even if it's a bit of a struggle. He will read to the end, which I know a lot of people either give sort of 100 pages or 50 pages or X chapters. But he will only pay £4.99, £5.99 for authors that he's been waiting for their book, and they all seem to come at once, he says. I don't buy the only ebooks I tend to buy are writing related or marketing, something like that, because my day job is editing. So the last thing I do is buy books, which is very sad because I can't take my editor hat off. I will literally pull them apart. Helen, you're a crime writer. Do you read on the whole, do you read crime, or do you really read a bit of everything?
I love psychological thrillers. So psychological thrillers are what I write. Little subgenre. This is my
Yeah,
latest one, Lies
I
Between
love the
Friends.
cover. Fantastic.
Mm.
Who does your covers?
This one was done by Get Covers in
Oh yeah,
Ukraine. Very
Ukraine.
excellent company.
Mm.
I actually sent them a photograph which looked nothing like this, but it was a photograph of a couple of houses in Bristol where the book is set.
Okay.
And I like the way that they've blended Bristol seamlessly into the genre. You'd know when you looked at it that it was a
Mm.
psychological thriller, basically.
Yeah.
So good for them. And obviously, I love reading psychological thrillers. I also love reading fantasy stories. A very, very different genre, I know,
Mm.
and one that I would never write in because I would find it far too difficult.
Oh, would you, even though you read it?
Oh, absolutely. The amount of
Okay.
world building that you have to do,
Mm.
that would stretch my brain. I think it would explode my brain, actually.
Right. Because my husband has said Tim loves science fiction. He will read some fantasy, but he likes it based. He's a scientist, engineering background, but his science brain. He loves Elon Musk's was it Blue Horizon, and there's another one, the NASA, all the rockets going off in Florida. He's forever. If I hear whooshing, I know he's on the NSA Zoom or the YouTubes, seeing what's going off and things testing and so on. But I don't read it as a genre. But I kind of think I have started writing a story, and I'm hoping it will be a novel set on a spaceship, because I think really it's about character setting, plot. So I'm going to write it knowing nothing about the genre, and then he will be my consultant. So he'll say, well, you can add in a bit of this, and they wouldn't do that, and so on. So we shall see. But I don't write it. So I think you have to have the heart. Don't read it. So I think you have to have the heart and the interest in it to read it, to write it.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I agree.
Yeah.
Uh,
So say if you're there's a new author to you, how much would you pay for an ebook? We'll talk full novels.
well,
What's the average?
how long's a piece of string?
Right.
Uh, so I always look inside on Amazon to see if I like the style of writing,
Mm,
and if I'm hooked by the look inside, then for a new to me author, I would probably pay what I price my own books at, which is £2.99 in the UK,
mm,
equating to $3.99 in the US.
right.
That seems to be around about the average price for the genre. I've
Mm,
occasionally gone up. For example, in if I've met somebody at a literary festival, if I've met a writer and they're a lovely person and
mm,
they say, "Oh, got this book out and I want to read it now."
yeah.
Because I've just so enjoyed talking to them, I might pay something like £6.99 or whatever exorbitant amount traditional publishers charge for ebooks. But
Yeah.
that wouldn't be the norm for me. I
No.
would normally pay about half that.
Yeah. Because the price of books generally, they've gone up as everything has, but I think there is a lot of work. We know as writers how much work goes into writing a book. So an average is a year. There are a lot of people who write quicker than that. I mean, this one up here I wrote in a month, but then I spent a year on and off going back through it, and then you've got to pay for editing, pay for covers, pay for marketing of sorts, if not in money, and certainly in a lot of time taken up with marketing. So there's a lot of expense and time, time is money, put into creating our new baby, our book. And so why shouldn't you charge a decent amount for them? Obviously, with a paperback, then there has to be, when you go onto your bookshelf on your KDP Kindle Direct Publishing bookshelf, there's a certain amount of £3-4 to anywhere between sort of £2 and £4 minimum that will cost you to have it printed. So then when it will tell you then how much you'll earn depending on what price you put on there. So, but equally, if you've spent all this money, there's no extra cost to you for an ebook. So I think ebooks, psychologically, ebooks should be cheaper than paperbacks. And it does annoy me when I'm going to say J.K. Rowling, because that's one that I know when I saw it last, where the ebooks, they're not far off, if not the same, or I have seen more expensive than a paperback, just because people want to buy it the day it comes out.
Well, it's kind of the reason. I think also the traditional publishers deliberately price high with ebooks when a book is new because they're
Mm,
trying to push people to buy the hardbacks and the paperbacks, the books that get sold in physical bricks and mortar shops and
mm,
can push the title up the book selling charts.
true. Yeah, no, that's a good point. It's a good point. Um, I looked on Amazon earlier on this evening. I'll go for the UK one first. With I was going to say something. Yeah, no, that's fine. So looking at how much we should charge for ours, I did a search. So on the UK, what commission does Amazon charge for eBooks UK? Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP, generally charges a commission of 30% or 65, which I thought was 70. But
Hmm.
reading on, it is actually 70. On UK ebook sales, depending on the royalty option chosen, it then contradicts itself, 70% or 35. For the 70% option, the fee is 30% of the list price minus a small delivery cost. So it would actually be about 65, because I think it was, I can't remember the name of it, but they do charge for transmitting the ebook. And then we get the rest of it, the 65, 70%. The 35 royalty plan applies to books priced below £1.77 or above £9.99. So psychologically, I think, because in the US, doing the same question just for the US is $2.99 and above $9.99. And so I think that encourages authors to put a realistic price on it, on an ebook. You don't want to. So for this one, I charge the first in a series. I charge 2.2. I'm not sure in dollars, but certainly £2.99. So I would get 65, 70% for that. But then for the follow-ups, which are novelettes or novellas, 15 to 20,000, 20-ish thousand words, then I charge 99p. So then I'd get 30% on it. But I say I write to be read. And wouldn't it be lovely to make a full-time living out of writing? But I've gone from having, in the last month, from having my books at, I think I had that one at £5.99, and then there's smaller ones at £2.99. And so I'd rather sell, it's the old pile them high, sell them cheap. I'd rather sell 10 books and get less and get the same amount of money as one book, and have 10 people read them rather than one.
Absolutely. You need to find that sweet spot, don't you?
Mm,
And I aim for it when I'm pricing my books by looking at what other psychological thrillers are selling for.
mm,
And the price point that I've chosen, I believe, is the most common one.
mm. Are all your books on your ebooks full length?
Yes, they are.
Novel length, yeah. So if for instance you did, because I think pretty sure a lot of writers, if they do newsletters, they have, there is a word for it and it's come out of my brain, a reader magnet, where if you sign up to a newsletter, you can download either a prequel or a short story connected with the series that you're running. So which I know some authors have put those online as short stories for say 99p. In a way, either anybody signing up to the newsletter is therefore saving 99p by getting that for nothing. I don't know whether that's something you'd consider doing, is put any shorter content online on Amazon.
I probably wouldn't. At the moment, I give away a free ebook of short stories, but I need to produce a different reader magnet because this free ebook of short stories includes romance and ghost stories as well as crime stories. So
Mm,
it's not really representative of what I'm writing now
right.
in terms of the full-length psychological thrillers. So I will be putting together a novelette, which I will give away to people who like to take my newsletters. And
Mm,
I will probably make a print version available online. And one of the nice things about self-publishing is that I can make different print versions available. And I like to have large print and dyslexia friendly versions of my
yeah.
books available. And I will probably use the dyslexia friendly font and just
Mm.
um, have a print version of that available on Amazon if people want to buy it, but they can get the ebook for free by subscribing to my lovely newsletters.
Very good. So what are you working on? Are you all, I think, all going to be novels at the same price, or because you write, is it just standalones at the moment, or
Yes.
yes,
Yeah, it's just standalone. So in the past, I've written a series which was crime thriller-ish,
right,
by which I mean they were crime thrillers, but they were not a particular subgenre. They weren't detective mysteries.
right,
They weren't psychological thrillers. They were more of a kind of mashup of the entire crime thriller genre.
okay,
And I feel that what I prefer to do is write standalone psychological thrillers. So
mm,
that's what I'll continue to do. Um, they're not especially long. They're not novellas. They're full-length novels.
mm,
I don't pad them out. I'm quite economical with my words.
mm.
I'm very, very good at cutting words out. I'm sometimes finding it a bit of a challenge to add words to it.
Do you add a well, I was going to say add a color or a shade or something, but that won't help very often. No, I had one after Jessica. Well, it was one in two in one, that one that went off to a publisher years ago, and before I self-published, and he had it for a long time, and finally came back to me and said he was really debating, loved it, but it felt as if it had been over-edited, as if there was too much taken out and needed a bit more heart to it, which was great having that kind of feedback. So when I went back through it, I could see what he meant, and gave it some heart. Um, but I think some authors, if when they're writing a series, will price the first one lower to get you into a series. It's a bit like the magazines that we have in the UK. I don't know whether they are overseas, where you buy the first installment, and sometimes they come with an example. So maybe a figurine, if it's say, what's the demon, Dungeons and Dragons, say, they'd come with a magazine, and then you have a little gift with it, and the first installment will be 99p or 2.99, and then the rest will jump up to 5.99, because once you're hooked on the first one, you've then got to buy all the others.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a good strategy. I used to use it in the past, way back with my series, my crime thriller-ish series.
Mm,
I priced the first book at 99 pence for a really long time. And then I was advised that it's worth kind of trying a different price point and seeing what happens. And uh, I then put the price up and I sold more books. And I put the price up again and I
right.
sold more books. So I kind of figured maybe 99 pence was not the best price.
No, it's interesting because I had After Jessica as an ebook, that one there, as an ebook for free, and Amazon were very good. They price matched at the time that it was free, and that was one that was recently poached by Meta. I don't know if they had any of your books.
Oh, yes.
They went to a piracy site, and serial dieter. That's been I've had, because I have two Google alerts, one for Morgen Bailey and one for Morgen Bailey, and so every now and then when my name pops up, and I haven't had any for a while actually, so I'm obviously out of favour, where my books appeared for free on a piracy site. And so I had it for free for all over, drafted digital, then put it out everywhere, and which was I'd got them to do it, set it up, and then I decided, which was great from a reviews point of view, because I had 300 and something reviews on it because it was free. And I did that because it was, for me, it's a sample of my writing, that may or may not encourage people to then look for me, look for my name and see what else I had available. Um, but there is the argument that if you have something for free, it's implying, or something for free or 99p, that it's implying that the quality is not very good. Whereas if something is, as which is proven your case, that you had it for 99p and then put it up and then put it up again, you were actually selling more because a higher price says, I'm worth it.
Mm.
I am worth a cup of coffee. This chap with the website, who was charging a lot for his ebook. But it's difficult, isn't it, when people, until you have, it's a bit catch 22, until you have the following, where people will pay a decent amount of money because they know they enjoy your writing, and whenever you have a new book out, they'll pay whatever the book price is. But if nobody knows who you are, will they take the risk?
Yeah, I do have promotions sometimes, so I will drop the prices of books occasionally.
Mm.
I give that first book in the series away occasionally in a promotion, and I will set my other books to 99 pence for promotion, sometimes using Amazon Kindle countdown deals.
Right. So with the free one you do as the KDP Select, the free for 5 days, or
Yes,
yes.
the books are all in Kindle Unlimited, so
Mm.
uh, you get the opportunity to run promotions every quarter like that if you want to. And
Yeah.
I don't run them every quarter because I think people would get a bit bored with them. And if they knew that a particular book was always free for 5 days every
Yes.
quarter, why would anybody ever buy it? But
Exactly. It
I
is tricky, isn't it?
I do
But,
run promotions occasionally, just so that new readers can experiment and
mm,
find out about my books.
mm. And how do you find Kindle Unlimited? Because you were telling me before I hit record that you've got a new Kindle and you're a Kindle Unlimited reader at the moment,
Mm.
as they have it on an offer. How are you finding that? Are you downloading books you wouldn't necessarily have found otherwise because they're on unlimited?
Yes, yes and no. I think I'm probably reading books that I would read anyway, but I'm reading them quicker, if that makes sense. I'm
Right.
getting more of them. So it's terribly distracting and terribly addictive and terribly fun to have Kindle Unlimited, I think.
Yes.
And
Because
it's amazing.
it's something like, is it 9.99 or 7.90? I think it used to be 7.99 a month,
Oh,
something like that. So,
crumbs. I think it's something like £9.49 if you have
is
it.
it?
And I'm
Yes.
getting to the end of my 3 month free trial period that Amazon
Right.
gave me with my new Kindle. So I'm
Mm.
going to have to decide whether to subscribe. And I think just because Amazon make it so much fun to have Kindle Unlimited, they'll probably get my money. They're very smart people at Amazon.
Yes. Well, I was the same with Amazon Music. I had an offer for 3 months, and they have them in stages. So I have the ordinary plan where if you're getting it to play music, you can only have it playing on one device at a time. If you're playing a radio station, I've found you can have that playing wherever. So Tim might have Absolute Radio on his downstairs, and I'll have Greatest Hits Radio on mine at my office upstairs. Whereas if you tell it to play, I don't know, shuffle ELO or something, you can only do that on one device, unless you pay extra and have a family plan, in which case you can play whatever you like on any device. But we just know that if it says it's playing on another device, do you want to play it here instead? We just go no because the other person's playing something on that. So, but they are great. I think a lot of systems have gone from a one-off payment to a subscription service. I think a lot of TV stations and so on are heading that way, and software that we use has gone from, I think KDP Rocket has gone. I bought it when it was just a one price, to do with Amazon, helps you with Amazon ads. Whereas I think that has gone or is going over to a subscription model. Um,
Has it?
mm,
Yeah, there's been rumors about that for a long time. I bought Rocket as well, and I think it's an absolutely essential tool for the toolbox
Mm,
if you're a self-published author. It's extremely useful.
mm,
Yeah, interesting times. You made the point earlier, Morgan, that we pay a lot of money in order to get a good quality book out there.
mm,
And KDP Rocket and all the other software we buy
mm,
are just aspects of that. And of course, there's the editing, there's the cover.
mm,
Even if we're using our extremely helpful and good value friends in Ukraine, get
mm.
covers.
No, exactly. And I've recently bought Atticus because I want to uniform all my books because I've produced them with so many months or years in between, that I'm going to. And I think you use. Was it you who mentioned previously that you use Atticus? You do. Do you format your own books?
I do format my own books. I actually use Microsoft Word. I
I do.
bought Atticus
Mm,
and then didn't actually use it. So I keep thinking I must get round to using it because I can see that with the number of formats of my books that I publish,
mm,
it would be useful to have Atticus and just make one change
mm,
and have it flow through to all the formats rather than have to go into every single one.
mm. So we will be having another session at a later date on KDP Select, staying with Amazon only. I was saying to Helen before we recorded that I've been battling with Amazon for years because if you Google Morgan, so Morgen Bailey, it comes up with Morgan Bailey, which isn't much of a choice, and various versions. So there's one I think sort of Lee Morgan Bailey comes up with those, and that whenever I've contacted them, they've said no, they can't change it because that's the Morgan is the normal spelling and providing good customer experience. And I said, well, having a tiny link at the top that most people don't notice because they have to email me saying I can't find your books. And then I was saying to Helen that I'd come up with a genius idea because they still say they can't do it. But maybe one day they'll have a word with their tech team and see whether they might be able to do it at some point, leaving it very vague. And so I said I came up with a genius idea of having Morgan Bailey as a collaborator. So now if you Google either spelling, it comes up with all my books, which is brilliant. However, I have decided to, well, I've taken the first step of enrolling from KDP Select because some of my bigger ones, so these 4, 5 are KDP Select. Everything else is already wide. So it remains to be seen because I think because of I don't know whether the restriction on it will take a while, I think, before me being able to me being more visible has worked or not. But I earn so little wide as at the moment that I'm still debating between myself. But most of them are stop in May, so I missed the February, I think it was, cut off for the last KDP Select. So I'm debating still whether to stay with KDP Select or go wide. But I don't know whether that would affect. Would you have the same price if you went wide? Would you have the same price? Do you think with your books you're happy with 2.99?
Yes, I would stick with that
Mm,
simply because it is the market price, if you like. It does seem to be the price point that most psychological thriller ebooks are sold at,
mm,
and and that's why I chose it. That's why I would stick with it.
mm,
And in the UK, something like 95% of ebook sales are via Amazon. So I'd be absolutely crazy to choose a price that was not the ideal price for Amazon.
mm. And you're on the right royalty rate to get the 70%.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting to know that I would still be on the right royalty rate at £1.77. But
Yes, I don't know. I don't know how. Let me just check. I'll go tools and time. Um, past year. Okay, let's have a look at KDP themselves. Oh, that doesn't help me because that's asking for paperback. Anyway, yes, I can have a look. Um, yes, I think there's this saying of in shops, because there's a chain of shops. Well, there's Poundland and what was 99p stores and Pound Stretcher, and they do really well at selling them cheap, piling high, selling cheap. And I think if you are new to an author, and especially self-published author, because we still have the battle, don't we, of oh, if it's self-published, therefore it probably isn't any good, because early self-published books weren't great.
Well, not all of them were, but
Mm,
there have always been stars like L.J. Ross who
yes.
produced a quality product very early on
Mm,
in the self-publishing days, and, and
mm,
and obviously we've been doing that too. We put a lot of effort into making sure that our books are incredibly good,
absolutely.
and you've obviously made a very good living as an editor as well as a writer, because so many people are keen to make sure their books are good.
Exactly. I used to work for publishers. I'm still open to working for publishers, but at the moment I'm working solely for authors directly. I'd say probably 90% of those want to self-publish, and the other 10% want to submit to agents and publishers. And then perhaps there's one a husband and wife that I mentor. The wife is very keen to get an agent, and therefore a publisher. And the husband is wants to try that route, but is he wants the book to be out there. It's his second book. His first book is out there. He self-published that, and so he wants to self-publish if he can't get anywhere with an agent. And they're more than, because I mentor them, so it's not just editing their books. It's working the plots and the characters, and really we do Zoom once a week for an hour. So they send me the book ahead of time, or they're a couple of thousand words they've written during the week, and then I go through that, and then we have a Zoom like this for an hour and talk through it, and what the next week will hold, and what works and doesn't work, and character arcs and timelines and so on and so forth. So they're putting that investment in their career. Certainly, the wife wants this to be a career. The husband's happy to have, and he'll keep writing. Um, and they are that much of an investment for them to get the book as good as it can be, and to learn. I think when, even just if I'm only editing a book, and especially if I work with an author for several books, they say that they're really learning how to be a writer, and it is a craft.
Mm.
I don't know your background up to your first book, whether you bought writing books and writing guides or did any courses at all before
Yes,
you
yeah.
wrote.
I went to classes in my 20s, so I learned a lot then about genre. At that time, I was writing short stories, and I look back on them now. I did find the old file and looked at them, and they were good, which was reassuring. Uh,
Yes.
but then I didn't really do any writing for a really long time. Uh,
Mm.
I just picked it up again, uh, maybe, I don't know. Well, it's coming up to 20 years ago that I picked it up again.
Okay.
But the
Yeah.
reason I picked it up again was because I went on a personal development weekend. And at that time, there were a lot of people going on this weekend, and we all had kind of issues with our lives. We wanted our lives to be different. We wanted them to be shinier, happier, better.
Sure.
Um, and what came out of that was that I would be happy if I was writing.
Oh,
And that
wow.
proved to be the
And here
case.
you are. And how many books do you have now? I should know all this because we have spoken many times. How many books do you have now? Um,
I've written 12 in total. When I went back to it, um, I didn't initially write a novel. I started with short stories again.
Mhm.
I then spent time recording my parents' memories to put together it into a book for the family, but never published that for various reasons. I must pick
Sure.
it up again
Right.
because it was a lovely thing to do, lovely, lovely thing to do to find out about their lives. They were
Yeah.
both brought up in different countries, but they were brought up in villages with blacksmiths, and they both
Wow.
had different views on the blacksmiths. My
Right.
father used to hang around like other small boys did and be
Oh,
the blacksmith's
right.
unpaid assistant,
Yeah.
whereas my
Yeah.
mum couldn't stand the smell of the place and
Oh, really?
never
How
went near
funny.
it.
Well, my dad's father was a blacksmith, and there's a picture of him with a massive shy horse. And my dad was 6'2". And my grandfather, who I never met sadly, he would have been, I'm sure he would have been tall. And there's a picture of a shire horse taller than he was. And there's my dad told me a story of one time where he was shoeing the horse. I don't know if that's the right phrase, but he was shoeing the horse, and and the horse kicked back, and I think my dad must have been there um, because he knew so much detail, unless my grandfather had told him, and said that he kicked him against a wall. Yes, he was there because he said he thought that was it. Or my grandfather said that was it. And then when he came to again, he went up to the horse, hit the horse, pushed the horse, and the horse fell over. I'm sure that's an over dramatization for my dad's benefit. Um, but yes, that's a memory of, and I still have the photograph of him with this. I don't know if it was the same Shire horse, but with a Shire horse. So yes, so they were blacksmith family. My dad was a photographer, so
Ah, it explains the photograph, I
nothing
suppose.
nothing to do, yeah, nothing to do with the with smithying. So there we go. So it's interesting. I shall see how it goes with the 2.99, but I think I shall stay with that. And I have until May to decide. Well, I don't have to decide in May even whether I stay with Amazon. But I certainly earn more with Amazon. So in a way, as you say, I may be mad for considering going elsewhere. But I don't know. I shall see. It's all in the marketing,
Mm.
don't we know?
You don't know until you try. And
Yeah,
the great thing about managing your own career is that nothing's set in tablets of stone. Nothing's
no,
imposed on you. If you decide that it works, that's wonderful. If you find out it doesn't work, then you switch back again. You,
exactly. And it is only the ebooks. KDP Select is only ebooks. So the paperbacks can go wide. I think they already are, can go wide anywhere. Um, so that, yes, it's a conversation I shall have with myself as I was going to this evening until you very kindly stepped in.
well, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm glad
Thank
that I
you.
turned up.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Well, this will go on YouTube tomorrow, and I shall create a page, another page for you. You have a few pages, which is brilliant. So do check out the Self Pub Fest. You'll see the video will be on the home page until the next item, which is Monday, where we're talking about dialogue and description.
Mm.
And we'll see you soon. Thank you again, Helen. Brilliant. Always lovely to see you.
Thank you, Morgan.
You're very welcome. Having just said goodbye, we then continued chatting off camera. And one thing we hadn't covered was the fact that when I mentioned about having After Jessica free and 200 or 300, I don't know how many were downloaded. It's something I should check really. But I ended up having 300 and something reviews, or at least ratings, which is lovely. Um, but the interesting thing about having a book for free, I was just talking to Helen about whether people get something because it's free, whether they would actually read the book. I don't know whether anybody's ever said to you, "Oh, I found this book for free, and I'm so glad I did because I've gone off and bought the rest of your books." Whether anybody ever mentions the price that they've paid for something.
Very occasionally, people might have said that.
Mm,
I have taken part in prize promotions where I've made a book free, and that book has always been The Bride's Trail, which is the first in my crime thriller series.
mm,
I once had a BookBub deal on it, and
mm.
that was absolutely amazing because mm, I could see straight away that people were buying the rest of the series and reading through, and that was
How much,
absolutely brilliant.
so how much was the book or advertised for on BookBub? And you have to pay for that, don't you, with
Mm.
BookBub? If you can get in, because I know a lot of people have tried to get BookBub on a BookBub page and haven't been successful. So tell me about the that process.
Yes, it is quite difficult to get a BookBub deal, and
Mm,
I applied every month for about 3 years before
did
I got
you?
one.
Wow.
Uh, Having said that, when I got it, obviously that was expensive, and you're making a leap of faith.
Mm,
And if you can't afford to lose the money, then it's not worth doing it.
mm,
And I just had to keep telling myself, I can afford to lose it. It's painful, but I can afford it.
mm,
And the chances are it will pay off. And with a series of 5 books, so there were 4 books to read through to,
mm.
it did pay off. I would never ever do that with a standalone book and hope to get read through. I
No.
would, I've applied for BookBub deals and had them at 99 pence, but I've never ever set standalone books to free because there's nothing that really pushes anybody to read the next one.
No.
They'll enjoy the book, and give it a nice review and say nice things about it,
Mm.
but they won't immediately want to know what happens to the main
Yes.
character. They'll
Yeah.
know that there isn't another book to tell them that.
No.
Whereas with the series, they do want to know. They do want to find out.
Yeah. Do you know whether can you remember whether you covered your costs on BookBub, or whether it, because it would have brought you as an author to um, as a name to be out there, people to see the name at least.
Yes, yeah. So when book one in the series is free, yes, I cover the costs on BookBub.
Mm,
And if it's a 99p deal, doesn't necessarily cover the cost straight away. I don't necessarily sell enough right away
right.
um, to make it back. But I think I do get some read through from it. And I tend to find that sales of other books are a bit better. And I
Right.
tend to find to get more Kindle Unlimited reads.
Mm,
So I think it probably breaks even or does a little bit better than that.
mm.
But with a series, it is totally marked and quite astonishing. And the first time I did it, my husband said to me, you've actually found a marketing tool that works. Blimey.
Wow. And do you know, I'm going to throw a really random question at you, which you may or may not be able to answer. Do you know, out of complete ebook sale
Hmm.
versus Kindle page reads versus paperbacks, do you know which you do generally, which you do better out of the three?
Ebook sales,
Is it?
it depends on the country. So in the UK, it's ebook sales.
Right.
In Canada and the United States, it's paperbacks.
Is it? Okay. That's really interesting because people were worried as ebooks came in that it would kill. I mean, how often have we heard the term ebooks will kill the paperback? Because we've been going about the same sort of time, about 20 years. And I think it's a bit like a novelty. And yes, it's great because I love having Kindle, especially because it reads out to me. So I love audiobooks. If I'm going to read something, I'll listen to it on an audiobook. And so, which is a narrator's voice, whereas on the Kindle, obviously, it's the device's voice, which I'm used to, so it's no problem. But I can be doing other things rather than I very rarely sit and read while doing nothing else. And so and yet a lot of people say, well, no, I'd never, paperback is king. I only use a Kindle. I don't know whether this is your first Kindle or you've got a new Kindle, upgrade, different model, or just a newer one. whether, because people say, oh, yes, I listen to a Kindle on holiday because it's convenient, or but I have a paperback by my bed. My mum actually used to read a hardback on the kitchen table. She read biographies and autobiographies, so she had a hardback on the kitchen table, and then a paperback upstairs, and so she'd have two on the go at once.
Oh, me too. I've got books all over the house,
Have you?
hardbacks, paperbacks. I've got the
Yeah.
Kindle. I read the whole lot, but I am a bit of a book addict.
Are you?
And luckily, there are loads of other people like me out there.
Mm. Have you found that being a writer has changed the way you read?
Probably made me more critical,
Yeah.
but I still read for the experience. I don't primarily read to analyze, just read
You're
to have a good
you're
time.
able to switch off.
Mm,
See, I read
love
if I
reading.
when I read, I tend to read short stories, and I judge short story competitions as well, which is always a pleasure. And I struggle with novels because I'll get part way through and I go, yes, but that as you just said on page two, or what, I can't switch off. And it's two busman's holiday. When I'm pulling them apart all day, then the last thing I want to do
Mm,
really is read another book. But there we go.
an
So
editor's
thank you,
life.
Helen. That's brilliant. I'm not sure from memory when I'll be seeing you again, but hopefully soon on a Monday lunchtime or a Tuesday or Thursday evening. So thank you again. It's been a pleasure, and I'm delighted that you could join me this evening.
It's been a pleasure to join you, Morgan. Thank you.
Thank you.